Hello and welcome to the Daily Millwall for Friday the 7th of April 2023. Good Friday, which is why we played, because it's bank holiday. And it was match day today. It's another 0-0 draw. A game that it was important that we didn't lose. Would have been nice to win. But we kept a clean sheet at home, which we haven't done for quite a while. So let's have a read of the match report from millwallfc.co.uk. Stalemate in the C16's Mill and Luton draw. Millwall and Luton Town played out a goalless draw in the Sky Bet Championship at the Den on Good Friday. Gary Rowett made 3 changes for the visit of the Haz, as Sean Hutchinson replaced the injured Charlie Cresswell, whilst Oliver Burke and Andreas Vogelsammer came into the side at the expense of George Honeyman and Duncan Watmore, who both dropped to the bench. Billy Mitchell, meanwhile, was back amongst the squad on his 22nd birthday. Bathed in April sunshine, the fixture got underway with first chance of the game just 2 minutes in, but after Zion Fleming lifted the ball into the path of Burke, whose poke at goal was gathered by Ethan Horvath. George Saville's determination in the middle of the park then won a free kick for the Lions, which was abruptly ended by the offside flag, before Tom Bradshaw scooped a shot from the acute angle over as the Lions responded to the atmosphere inside the Den in the early stages. There was half a claim for a penalty kick on 18 minutes as Bradshaw remained on his feet despite severe pressure from Luton Town captain Tom Lockyer, with Horvath then having to rush out to clear on the edge of his penalty area, and Ryan Leonard just about getting to a Carlton Morris effort as the chances began to total up in SE16. A hairy moment followed as the ball travelled across the face of the Millwall goal without a decisive touch before an instinctive strike from Leonard from outside the area was creeping in until he was denied by the dive of Horvath. Delightful Murray Wallace cross almost allowed a combination of Bradshaw and Jake Cooper on goal with 7 minutes to play until the break, and with no further goalmouth action, Darren England blew for half time with the score goalless. The ball became bogged down in the midfield as the second half got underway, but the first chance of freestyle went the way of Millwall on 58 minutes. Wallace, however, headed Saville's free kick just over the crossbar. Vogelsammer then twisted and turned in an attempt to get an effort in from close range, but found himself quickly crowded out by the Luton defence before a long-range attempt from Leonard was deflected into the grasp of Horvath just after the hour mark. The German's free kick then went just wide as the last 10 minutes from the horizon, whilst at the other end, George Long had to be equal to a vicious effort from Carlton Morris. The stopper then made a sprawling save from Alfred Doughty before a triple substitution saw Billy Mitchell, Romain Esse and Scott Malone add fresh legs to the Lions for the final handful of minutes. Elijah Adebayo swung a widely goal in 4 minutes of stoppage time, but both teams had to settle for a point in their battle for a playoff place. And the team was as follows: Long, McNamara, Wallace, Cooper, Hutchinson, Burke, Fleming, Leonard, Saville, Vogelsammer, Bradshaw. The substitutions were Malone on 82 minutes for Hutchinson, Mitchell on 83 minutes for Burke, and Shackleton on 88 minutes for Leonard, who went down injured, so that's not looking good. And Esse on 82 minutes for Vogelsammer. The unused subs were Honeyman, Watmore, and Biakovsky. Now, this is a lot of people saying hard on Honeyman that he got dropped. Well, I'm hopeful that this means that there will be changes made for the Monday game, because obviously we're playing Friday and then Monday. And if you try and play the same team 2 games in a row like that with only 2 days in between them, you're going to come unstuck. So hopefully there's a few changes. Maybe 3 would be ideal, but we'll see. So here you go. Saville got booked for Millwall. The attendance was 18,422 with 2,602 Luton fans. Now, the takeaways from the SouthwarkNews.co.uk from the bottom of their match report, but obviously I'm not going to read that because I just read you the one from the Millwall website. A point will do. 2 points from Millwall's last 3 is far from ideal. Given how difficult the last 2 have been, it has to be considered a good return. The Lions were in a good place before the 3 p.m. kickoffs and have already played West Brom and Luton, who have fantastic home and away records respectively. Positives to take heading to Hull. Yeah, I told you in yesterday's preview video that historically the 0-0 was quite a 0-0 draw is pops up pretty regularly between Millwall versus Luton. And in terms of this season, our home form was exactly the same as their away form. Play 1-10, drawn 5, lost 4. So you've got two teams that are evenly matched in terms of their results at home, our results at home, and their results away. So it was always shaping up to be a draw. I kind of thought it would have been a 1-1 draw, but 0-0. To get a clean sheet at home, first clean sheet at home in quite a while. So that's good. Obviously, the defense is back to keeping clean sheets. And on paper, now obviously the Championship isn't played on paper. It's quite an erratic and strange league, but on paper, the last 2 games were our toughest results, and we didn't lose them. We kept 2 clean sheets in both of them. That's the West Brom away game and Luton at home. So that bodes well. Why does that bode well? Because we might have to play Luton again in the playoffs, and we've drawn them twice this season. 2-2 up at their place and 0-0 today. And I've said before in the past, if you know this, we haven't won a playoff game at this level. I believe we played 3 sets of games: Brighton, Derby, and Birmingham. The best result we had was a 1-1 draw away at Birmingham. We haven't won a playoff game at this level, but we don't have to. We can draw playoff semi-final on the playoff second leg, and we could go through on penalty shootout, and we could get to the final, and we could draw that. We could go through on penalty shootout again, and I was thinking about this earlier. It would be the ultimate ironic Rowett's revenge, because obviously Rowett had his formation. Fans were moaning at him, saying change it, change it, change it. He didn't change it until the Rotherham game in October, and since then we've been absolutely flying. And it was a revelation to do that. And wouldn't it be ironic if we did get in the playoffs and the way we got through them was to draw all 3 games and then get promoted? That would be the ultimate Rowett's revenge. Gary will draw it. So yeah, that would be funny. Talking of Gary Rowett, let's have a look and see what he had to say about today's result. Well, Gary Rowett reveals frustration after Luton stalemate's decision to go against Millwall once again. The Lions could have been awarded 2 penalties for seemingly blatant fouls on centre-back Jake Cooper. Gary Rowett admitted that his side could have been more clinical in their goalless draw against Luton Town, but voiced his frustration. His side were not given a penalty in the second half of the game. So yeah. So the headline says it was about penalties, but we had some decent chances today. And we had enough decent chances. We probably should have scored, but hey ho. Centre back Jake Cooper went down on the pressure from Tom Lockyer, with the second one looking especially blatant. However, the referee opted against awarding a spot kick, infuriating the home fans and Lions players. Millwall were unlucky not to pick up all 3 points against the Hatters, but the manager knew it was always going to be an incredibly difficult game, especially given the visitors' away form since the turn of the year. It was always going to be a very competitive game between 2 teams that didn't want to give an inch, he said after the game. Both were very physical, both pretty competitive. It was a tough game. It was a tough game to come down, a tough game to show that little bit of composure you need to open up the game. It had to be done in limited ways. As a home team, I'm always going to say it, but I thought we got into some better position. but we created some better chances and looked slightly more threatening. The stats probably show that. I think we had like 16 shots to their 6. Indeed. We had some good moments. Berkey's one early on. He just gets a toe on it. Maybe go wrong for the keeper. Vogie just needs to swing his foot and Muzzer's chance from the set piece. I don't remember too many that long he has had to save, so I thought we looked fairly comfortable defensively, but it's just about creating more of those moments, which is hard against Luton. They've done it so well this season and beyond. It's so difficult to create those clear-cut chances. That's where you just need a little bit of fortune. Is it fortune or would it just be good at the game? It's a tough game to handle, and I thought they handled the game really, really well. I've said it before, I understand there's a slightly different threshold for the incidents. But if you look at Lockyer going down on touchline facing his own corner flag, the linesman gives a free kick and there's no contact whatsoever. But I don't understand that. Coops gets held around the waist and dragged to the ground, but they've let that play on. At some point, someone's got to be a bit braver because Coops has had that all season. It's actually been quite embarrassing with how many penalty shouts we've had, and we haven't had that one given. I'm not asking for every single one of them. I'm just talking about 30 very, very good incidents. We've had none. I've spoken to people about it and I keep getting the same answers until something's done. I'll probably end up answering the same questions the same way. And again, I've said this in previous videos as well. But wouldn't it be ironic if we did get in the playoffs and obviously under that spotlight, the referee's like, ooh, and then he gives it. He gives us the penalty from Jake Cooper getting dragged down, which they haven't done all season, but then, oh, that would be quite beautiful. Now, we got the other guy, the Luton Town manager. This is from LondonNewsOnline.co.uk. It's the old Arsene Wenger one. Luton Town boss Edwards' response when asked about Millwall penalty claims. Luton Town manager Rob Edwards had no comment to make on Bill's claims in today's stalemate SC16. Both appeals involved Lions centre-back Jake Cooper, who felt he was held inside the box by former Charlton defender Tom Lockyer. Asked by the South London Press what he made of referee Darren England's decision not to point to the spot, Edwards said, I haven't seen them back. I'm sorry. It's the old Arsene Wenger one. At the time, my eyes followed the ball and I saw everyone erupting. It was a hard game to ref. I said that to the officials, Millwall Luton. I bet you were rubbing your hands at getting that one. Early in the game, there were a few free kicks for both sides that Gary and I were questioning. We're both physical teams and you've got to let a certain amount of it go. But he couldn't comment on the pen, sorry. Asked if he was happy with a point, Edwards replied, yeah, I think so. It was a really tough day. If you asked me before, of course we wanted to win the game. We come into every game looking to try and do that, but with how the game went, a lack of flow or rhythm, my feeling in the last 10 minutes was if we could get something, it would be amazing. But keep what we've got and keep the clean sheet. It's a really difficult place to come. They play it really, really well. Either quick turn balls for Bradshaw to run in behind or whoever out of the front 3 or 4, which was a threat to them. You can remember a few times the ball bouncing between our back line and headed the goal. Any kind of free kick, throw-in or set piece is a real challenge. It's a fight. And you've got to win the first or second or the first phase. We stood up to that really, really well. To get a clean sheet here is difficult to do, and we know their form here in the league is one of the best at home. The players are fantastic. You can see how hard they work, even when we've not got much rhythm and loads going on with the ball today. You can see the fight and pressing from the front too, how hard that midfield three work to try and win the second ball duels. The lads at the back are just relentless in competing and blocking headers. Everyone was talking about possession, but you've still got to have people defend, win tackles, duels. We protect Heathen really well. He's had to make a couple of saves today, but nothing he shouldn't have made. We've done that consistently for a long time now. Edwards also had praise for ex-Ajax defender Lockyer. He said, well, he's just outstanding. He's a brilliant person, and he's an even better footballer. He's been top class since we've come in. I think everyone is recognising and seeing it. So there you go. What the opposition man there had to say. Now, going back to Gary Rowett and an injury update, because obviously we've got a short turnaround now. We got Saturday off, Sunday off, and we got Monday 3 p.m. kickoff. So here we go. This is from southernnews.co.uk. Millwall manager provides injury update on Giro after Luton clash. Garrett is waiting for an update on Ryan Leonard and Charlie Crystal heading into Monday trip to Hull City. Millwall are waiting to see how serious Ryan Leonard's injury is after today's 0-0 draw with Luton Town. The midfielder went down holding his groin. Towards the end of the game, with clear concerns given the history of injuries. Today's clash at the Den was his 7th consecutive start, having missed the start of the campaign with a hamstring tear. It's frustrating, Marat said after that. Bocci hasn't played very often. He had cramp managing it, but we felt it was too big a risk to keep him going with it because we have another game on Monday. We had to get him off and move Lenny to centre back. At that point, got no real centre back other than Coots. I don't really like playing two left-footed centre backs, so I don't know why. Stupid, isn't it? No one does. It's a bit cliche, really. We decided to go to a back three. By doing that, Lenny then comes off with his groin. We have to hope that it's not too serious. If it's anything like our luck in terms of injuries, it probably will be serious. The Lions are also waiting for a full prognosis on Charlie Cresswell, the centre-back facing the prospect of surgery if he has fractured his eyes. Should that need to happen, he will likely miss the rest of the campaign, meaning that he will not play in the Mill shirt again. That his loan spell will expire at the end of the season. It's a strange one because I spoke to the medical team yesterday about it. They said that if he has to have an operation, it's going to be 5 weeks from the operation. But if he has a mask, it's 6 weeks from the injury. And I said, that's the same answer. Why didn't you tell me that in the first place? It would have been a lot easier. That seems to be the prognosis. Crazy's had a blurred vision. If that doesn't change in the next few days, he'll probably have to have an operation. Without me putting too much of a full stop on it, I'd imagine it's probably the best part of the season done for him. While Billy Mitchell returned to the pitch as a late substitute, Tyler Berry and Mason Bennett were both left out. However, Rowett confirmed that they are good to go, although we'll need to be careful phasing them back to the team. Mace is the only one who missed a couple of days. He ended up clattering into a post in the under-21s game here and hurt his thigh. It's typical Mace, but I think he'll probably hurt the goalpost more than his thigh, in fairness. They're there, they're ready. They haven't played a lot, and I've got to find that balance between putting them straight back in, having 4 or 5 players that haven't played much football on the bench. Indeed. And they kind of have to play their way in. Literally, they have to wait for an opportunity for someone to get injured, then step in. Because would you really have Tyler Berry over Essay? Maybe not. Would you have Mason Bennett over? Who would you bring? Who would you put him on the bench for? I don't know. Maybe Watmore. A lot of people soured on Watmore, but I don't know. So there you go. Now that was from the game today. Here we go. Let's have a look at this from WhoScored.com. It's the result today. Obviously, we dropped 2 points today with our 0-0 draw against Luton, which meant Luton dropped 2 points. But luckily, West Brom dropped 3 points because they lost at Rotherham 3-1. Oh dear, what a pity, never mind. Coventry also drew 0-0 away at Swansea, so they dropped 2 points. Now, here's the one. We would have preferred this one to be a draw. Blackburn dropped 3 points at home to Norwich, who gained 3 points. It would have been better for us if that was a draw, because both teams losing, dropping 2 points would have been fantastic. But what that does mean is that Norwich have caught us up, because obviously they get 3 extra points today. We only got 1. They've closed the gap from the 4-point gap to 2-point gap, which means if we don't get a decent result on Monday, things could go against us and we could be out of the playoffs. Into other results, Sheffield United beat Wigan. What else? We've got Hull, so obviously we're playing Hull next. That's kind of a local derby, so I don't know. And it was a 5:30 kickoff. I don't know if we can look anything into that. But it was Sunderland 4, Hull 4. How many 4-4 draws do you get? Not that many. Bit of a strange one, that. I didn't watch the game, so I don't know what happened. But Hull scored 4. Hopefully, does that mean we can still keep a clean sheet against them? on Monday. If we don't, they score at least one. Obviously, then we have to score two to win. So it's an interesting result, and the result at Middlesbrough dropped 3 points because they lost at home to Burnley 2-1. Which means Burnley are promoted. Burnley got promoted on that result. So they're back in the Premier League. And let's just go back and look at the Huddersfield result, because obviously Huddersfield, after we lost to Huddersfield, it was all what's happening? Oh my god. But they beat Middlesbrough 4-2. They beat Watford 3-2. So obviously, clearly something has happened at Huddersfield with the Neil Warnock going in there, and he's turned them around he's done a miracle there. So the fact that we only lost 1-0 to them, that's a decent result, because they have the form of a team that is a promotion winning form. But they've won 3 games in a row. And they were in the relegation zone before that. Let's go down and have a look at the table as it stands now. There we are, 5th. We're 5th. Clearly, we just come off the 2 toughest games, as I said earlier, and we got 2 draws. We didn't concede any goals in those 2 games, but failed to score in them. So, comme ci, comme ça. An update: Reading got -6 points. They had a points deduction added to them. I think it was a couple of days ago. Didn't really mention it in the videos because I don't really care. It's good to see that as Millwall are ascending, that other teams who aren't following the rules are being punished, and it's good to see that. Let's go back up to where we are in the playoffs. So yeah, like I said, we're on 62, we're on 60. So that means that cushion is gone now. It's half a cushion. It means we could slip out of playoff places. But all we have to do is match Norwich's result. So we'll see how they go. Now, does this mean that Blackburn are a bit crappy? Well, yeah. They're 6th in the table, but they got a minus goal difference. They got -2 goals. That's bizarre. And the only other team in the top half of the table with minus goal difference is Preston with -5. So that's they've now joined the pack, chasing us with Coventry, because West Brom again lost again. So there you go. But and in terms of looking up, with 5 points off Middlesbrough now, Luton got 3rd. So Millwall Middlesbrough, is that the playoff game? I don't know. But yeah, all we have to do is look at Hull. And even though they scored 4 goals today, they still drew. They still only drew. We look, they haven't won in 5 games. Their last win was at home, West Brom, and they drew 1-1 with Coventry. They lost to They lost to Burnley. They drew 1-1 with Reading. They drew 0-0 with Rotherham, and they drew 4-4 with Sunderland. So hopefully it's not another draw. Hopefully it's a defeat and a win for Millwall. But like I said, we do need some fresh legs into the team. So we'll see how that gets on. But yeah, if we go back up and see what are the actual games in the rest of the league on Monday. Well, so Norwich are playing Rotherham. So this is Championship, nothing's guaranteed, but you would think that they should be winning that, and that means we need to win against Hull, really. because if we draw and Norwich win, they go above us on goal difference. And obviously, then you've got to look to Blackburn. And are they off? Are they off the boil? Is this where they start to plunge it down the table? It might help us that their game kicks off at 12:30. They're away at Huddersfield, and obviously, well, just mentioned about Huddersfield, how they've got promotion form. They've won their last 3 games in a row. Neil Warnock knows what the fuck he's doing, so let's hope he goes and smashes Blackburn. Gives them even a higher negative goal difference, and then if we do slip up against Hull, Blackburn will drop out of the playoffs, and we'll still be in 6th position, which would be nice. And then on Friday, Norwich play. So going into next week's game against Preston, we'll know from Friday's game against Norwich, we could be out. Actually, if they win that, we could be Saturday morning. We could be out of the playoffs. Then we'll have to. Okay, we need to win against Preston to go back in the playoffs. So there is that. And obviously, as we just mentioned in the table, Preston, that game now means even more. They came out of nowhere. You can see Preston. They won 4 of their last 5 games. They've come out of nowhere, and we've got a new challenger. We just knocked off West Brom. Now we've got Preston to worry about. So, but before that, we go to Hull. Just win. Then we don't have to worry about all this shit. Now, moving on to this. This got put up this morning on londonnewsonline.co.uk, and they do this quite regularly. On match days, they put stories up in the morning, and they kind of get lost really in terms of after the match. You just everything's about the game. You don't really looking at what went on in the morning. Kind of gets lost. So, but here we go. This is an exclusive. Millwall open contract talks with defender Jake Cooper. Millwall have open contract talks with Jake Cooper. The 28-year-old Lions centre-back will have 12 months to run his then deal in June. So it's not late, it's super early. His deal runs out not this summer, next summer. So the fact that they're talking to him about a new now is kind of interesting. You would think, now why are they doing that? Well, if it could be they don't want another Jed Wallace situation. So they say to him, like, this is what we can afford to pay you, da 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 da. Here it is. Do you want to sign this contract or not? And if he says no, then they'll work, well, okay, how about we sell you this summer? Because we don't want to sell you in January and get buttons for you. We'll sell you in June 2023 and get a decent bit of money for it, so that we can reinvest that in the squad. But maybe it's that, I don't know. But Cooper needs just 7 more appearances to make it 300 games for Millwall, and the South London press understands that the Championship side, who can strengthen their grip on the playoff spot over the Easter weekend, are in negotiations with the former Reading defender who signed permanently for them in 2017. Jesus, doesn't time fly? 300 games. Man. 2017, so he's been here 6 years. There have been incorrect claims that Cooper, previously a target for Rangers, would be a free agent this summer. But the man himself has once again cleared up any uncertainty. I've got a year left in the summer, people told the South Press earlier. I know a lot of people get confused. It's because Mill don't release any years on their contract. People just assume 3 years. I signed a 4-year deal. I'm very much a Mill player. A good amount of time still. We'll see what happens in the summer in terms of what happens this season, what the club are looking to do moving forward. The season is up in the air. We're obviously not sure what's happening. Mill's home game against Luton Town today is a 10 sellout. Leeds get lonely. Charlie Cresswell could miss it. So like I said, this was put up in the morning. And it kind of gets lost, but that's pretty interesting. So we'll see what happens in the summer in terms of what happens in the season and what the club are looking to do moving forward. The season is up in the air. We're obviously not sure what's happening. Interesting. So obviously, if we get promoted, I imagine it's pay rises all round. Anyone who's out of a contract might just be let go because we need to free up space to bring in new players who are Premiership quality, even if on loan for the season. But yeah, and you've got to think: if we don't do it, if we don't get up, can we go again? Can we go again? What happens then? Now, obviously, the formation change came in October. And you would think that if we actually played starting out at the start of the season like that, we probably would have been in the top two. Could have been a possibility. I'll show you in probably tomorrow's video the table from when we changed to 4-2-3-1 from 5-3-2. And you've got to think: is this the pinnacle? Is this as good as it gets? And then if it doesn't, what happens next season? Obviously, we had last season we had Danny Ballard. Obviously, this season we've got Charlie Cresswell. Why is that? Why are the club loaning in centre backs? Why? Do they not rate the centre backs we've got? Is Hutch getting a bit old? Do they not rate Cooper? Do they need a better backup rather than Ryan Leonard and Murray Wallace and George Evans? They need an actual centre back, even if it's a kid from a Premier League team on loan, rather than, like he said, he doesn't want to play two left-footed centre backs. So you need to bring in someone else. But yeah, very interesting what happened. And on that note, thank you for watching. Goodbye.